Hey guys, back with another Maplestory video here. This time, PRs, post March update. We got the new rebalance for 22 classes, but also the main thing was the crit res elimination, the crit rate kind of meta change, and basically 100% crit rate in all content. And it's time to just test. And in this video, I'm going to go through kind of the biggest changes. Of course, I got to start with hard Magnus, just the roots, the staple. I was trying to hope for 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds, and it was pretty close. You saw my damage chart. It was right there. I think that I started off a little slow, but just could have used a little bit more damage. In this video, I want to keep all my stats the same from pre-patch, so I didn't switch over my DPS hypers yet. I didn't add any cap or anything like that. My stats are exactly the same as they were pre-patch because I wanted to see what this one update did to my damage overall just without changing my stats. And no surprise, kind of cranking that first minute. My previous PR for that was around 40-ish seconds. I think about 45 seconds, so that's a huge jump in time. And then for Culvert, another one, probably the biggest impact, the content that was impacted the most was Culvert. You see people's scores going from 5K to 10, 12K. And it's just kind of scratching the surface. I think a lot of players are still, testing out strategies. The strategy has completely changed. The secret to this, like I messed up right there. The secret to this is really about fair trade for necro users. And here I'm a little slow with my transition. The strategy was here to save all my cooldowns for stage 6, take off defense smash 4, and then pop them all, use synchro, and then equip defense smash 4 so that I had it up from the beginning of my cooldowns. I think I could have done that better where I synchroed first, defense smash 4, and then popped down my cooldowns, save myself a few seconds of my cooldowns, and then I'm going with the swap, of course, of defense smash 4 and DS1, swapping back and forth. I was able to get my swaps there a lot better, and so I was able to use my iframe to extend my immunity there for my res iframe, and allowed me to my swap back to DS4 with maximum uptime and not taking any damage. So a nice little strategy for paladins. Still testing out strategies, testing out methods, maybe standing in the bottom right corner of the platform to avoid these dashes, the purple stuns altogether. There's a lot of different strategies I think a lot of people are incorporating, and we're really just, the possibilities are endless, and it's exciting. I think, it really comes down to players, classes, strategies, stats, of course, but it's fair game for everyone, right? Before it used to just be a straight crit res or nothing, right? You couldn't compete without it. Paladins, Shades, Wild Hunters, Heroes, even Shadowers had really insane scores that just other classes couldn't compete with, even if they had the most ideal setup, strategy, gear. So it's nice to see this has completely changed as a Paladin player who had the huge advantage. I like this, right? I like seeing other classes, how far they can push it, challenging Paladins and other classes, just seeing, who is hitting breaking records and things like that. I'm excited to see what the Culvert score is when I switch over to DPS Hypers, get my final damage, physical damage, boss attack, things like that maxed again. And so stay tuned for that. But this one I was able to get 10K. See, a little bit time left. My defense smash 4 node is going to come back up, I think, yeah, right here, and it allows me to push me over the top to 10K in that last few seconds. So 10.1K, that was my first, I think it was the first day post patch, so, or maybe the second day after Lotus. So that was with boss rush as well. But then kind of the main course is, of course, Lotus, right? And across the board, everyone benefits. And if you don't know, in this patch, we also can choose who we echo. I think in this run, it didn't work as planned. I think I have to manually echo. I'm not too sure, but I think the person that I selected, Knuckle, in this instance, did not get echo any of the times. So something we have to work through in the next runs, in the future runs, but definitely just an interesting change. Those people that want to PR, top DPS, things like that, they want to maximize their damage, get echo for the entire run. It's going to benefit them huge, and they're going to hit insane numbers. But across the board, here about 30 seconds, you see the numbers are up. And I think just everyone did about 15% better. And this is a new run. We didn't have our Ice Lightning Mage Truffle Locks. He's moving on back to his guild. He was helping Emperor with our run, so much appreciated to him. He was carrying us real hard with phase 1 bombs and overall bossing DPS. His gear and mechanics has come a long way, and he's one of the strongest players in the world, probably the strongest Ice Lightning Mage in the world. So we lost him. We had a first time replace him with the Lumi, her first clear. So it was we had a little bit of feeling out process in this phase 1 where bombs we were having a little bit more trouble with bombs as expected. So we didn't have as smooth of a run, but the time you'll see is still insane for phase 1. And the 100% crits are just, people are just going to be hitting huge numbers. You can see kind of people are dying here and there. There was a nice little Hero's Will change as well. If you don't know, that the cooldown was reduced to 3 minutes versus I think it was 5 or 6 minutes. So big change there. You see we got a few people dead. I think we ended up we used our res and our phantom res, I think back to back, or I think our phantom had to steal res kind of last minute. So it was unprepared. Had a lot of people down for a little bit. Kind of in this last minute of phase 1, we struggled a bit with bombs and deaths, but we got through it. You see the time is just over 8 minutes, and we're pretty much going to finish up phase 1 very, very soon. So still overall the time is good, even with some of the struggles that we had here with deaths. But we're going to get through phase 1 about 2.5 minutes ish. So still a really, really good run for us with all the deaths. The time obviously is better than ever. Obviously a PR time. We're right there. I think we're waiting for our phantom to time leap and then res us. And so a lot of us were able to take the res at the last second. And looks like we go into phase 2 with, 6 lives left. So looked worse than it really was as far as death counters. And then we're moving forward with phase 2. All the cooldowns come back up 3 minutes into the fight. We're going to pop. We have shell up right now, so we're not taking any of the front damage. And we're just going to chunk it down. And you can see my DPS went up at the beginning. It was about 62 bill bossing damage. It helped that this run was fast, our fastest time PR. We also didn't have any purple phases in phase 3. Again, it's very hard to kind of compare damage run to run, different team comps, things like that, because there's so many factors in Lotus. You can't just judge my run compared to someone else's run, doing something different just because of all the different factors. Like one purple orb phase is 15 seconds of no uptime, right? And things like that is just one factor. Time of how fast the run is, who's aggro, deaths, just a lot of different things, team comp, how many class buffs there are. So overall, all we can do is really kind of compare it to our previous runs and just trying to keep it consistent. And across the board for our team, I think we all had about 10 build DPM boss increase across the board. So my previous PR was around 54. I did 62-ish in the end. I think second place was around mid 50s, and we had a few that were over 50 as well, and they're normally in the 40s. So we had, that's around 15-20% increase in damage just from the crit change, and that's sort of what we expected, right? That kind of makes sense with the difference in, not critting 100% of the time. We were probably critting around 85, 82%-ish with our Shadowers, 3% crit res. So just interesting to see that it kind of all lines up, and just, I think the numbers are just going to keep going higher, right? This wasn't the smoothest run. We definitely can get faster. People are going to progress and get more gear. We're going to maybe hopefully hit some Absol Labs this next week. And hopefully people are just, Lotus is just becoming kind of a 5-minute run, and we can get more people involved and help more people progress and gear and things like that. So it's exciting to see how this one patch really changed the game. And this little instance right here, we didn't have stun out for our pillar, so we're all for the platform phase, so we all had to jump up to the platform, and the electrocution right there. A few deaths, I think we had to res, but overall, I mean, this was as good of a run, you know, incorporating one new person with the crit res changes, things like that. It's just, I think it's just going to go up. I'm excited to see how much DPS Hypers change my score, knowing how I know DPS, it's probably going to go down after this. I'm going to get 3 purple orb phases. I'm going to die 3 times. Just how it goes. But I'm excited to just more testing, right? More content, trying to push your limits, whether it's in Mulong, whether it's in Culvert, whether it's in Lotus, Arc, Hard Magnus, whatever it is. Just possibilities are endless as we start to get more cap, get more stats. I'm going to hit 220, 230 hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So excited for that, excited for the progress, more content. And you'll see right here, kind of the last 30 seconds, we're going to chunk it down. This is about 6.5 minute fight. Yeah, we're going to chunk it down here in the next 10 seconds. So thank you again for watching. I'm excited to share these PRs. Next week, hopefully have better numbers with my DPS hyper change. I think I get a little bit more cap as well. So just excited to see what other people are doing, what my PR is. Either way, this is a fun time. I'm excited to share the content. Look out for my podcast. It's going to come out Thursday, and we're just going to talk about, I'm going to share some damage calculator stuff. I think a lot of people are confused with this meta and things like that. Boss attack, crit damage, crit rate. So definitely going to share some insight, hopefully help you guys out what to, how to improve your gear. But thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time.